The following podcast contains spoilers for The Assassin. You have been warned.
What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of KFR News Radio. This is your host, Clinchman Button, along with your host, Miguel Migosto.
That is myself.
Mm-hmm.
That is me. That is I.
The one and only baby boy.
And you are Glenn.
And that's true. The truest things I've ever heard of in my life.
How you doing?
I'm living the dream. Today is Mother's Day, so we got to spend a little time with our madres if we did.
It is. That's why I'm trying not to wake up the baby.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, he's a pretty heavy sleeper regardless, but, it's Mother's Day. Caitlin is also napping.
Mama needs some sleep.
She needs sleep. Baby needs sleep. I promised her that us doing the podcast would not interfere with anything, so...
Mm-hmm. Let's cross our fingers that hopefully it stays that way.
So let's jump into it. Glenn, have you watched any movies this week?
I have watched 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, movies, and then, of course, our movies. I kind of went on a little rampage here. So the first one I had actually started a couple weeks ago, but never got around to finishing. I was just like, this is an okay movie. And then I was like, I just realized I never watched that fully. So I got around to watching it again. It was Daphne. Came out in 2017. It's basically about a girl who doesn't believe in love, so she just kind of sleeps with dudes, and it's just like, yeah, we're not going to be a thing for long because that's stupid. It just doesn't make sense. But eventually, maybe she can. Maybe she finds it in herself to actually love somebody.
Something tells me that she does.
It's never really a thing. Spoiler alert. After that, I watched a movie called The Secrets We Keep. It was a Joel Kinnaman film, which got me interested the most, with Noomi Rapace.
Rapace or Rapace? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know
how to say her name, and I'm sorry, but I watched it mainly because of Joel Kinnaman. I was in like a Joel Kinnaman movie, and I'm like, okay, yeah. Yeah. For the most part, it was okay. Like, it wasn't anything to write home about. It was basically about this woman that was basically traumatized by some events that happened in World War II to her and her family, and she marries a man in America, and she comes, to America and lives there, and then the traumatizations, basically, of what happened in World War II in her country kind of came to America in, the town she lives. So it's very, I guess, luckily, air quotes, you could say. So she kind of takes matters into her own hands about those traumatizations with Joel Kinnaman. It was decent. Joel Kinnaman didn't really get all that, crazy. And Noomi was pretty good in it, but overall the plot was just kind of okay for the most part. Yeah. After that, I watched Two Lovers. It's with Joaquin Phoenix and Gwyneth Paltrow.
Yes, that is the movie, his last movie that was released before he pretended to have a mental breakdown for that documentary him and Casey Affleck made.
Yeah. And it was a very interesting movie. You could tell he was ready to have a breakdown, it seemed. Yeah. Well, it was mainly his character in this movie, but It's a kooky little movie here.
Yeah. I never fully believed that he was having a mental breakdown. I always kind of had a suspicion that it was for like a documentary role type thing.
Yeah.
But let me just tell you, I am so glad that was the case and it wasn't like an actual mental breakdown.
That he was actually going crazy.
Not only for his own health, but also he is such a great actor. He has brought us so many great movies after the fact.
Absolutely.
I think The Master was after that, and The Master is like a fantastic movie. Let's see. The Master. Yeah, The Master was after that. So we would not have The Master if that were the case. Well, we wouldn't have The Master that we have.
Yeah. Absolutely. For the most part, it was a pretty good film. This is basically this guy kind of struggling after kind of divorce or breakup with basically these two women that he meets, not really a rebound, but he's trying to get his life back together while living with his parents, and kind of in between. Hear me out. Two lovers.
What?
And what details entail in that story?
Shocking.
Is shocking. I feel like one of those articles, like grab articles.
You won't believe this.
You won't believe what happens after that. After that, I watched The Farewell, which was funny enough because Mike, I texted you about this. Yeah. I was like, listen, there's a movie that's been on my mind for the last couple of weeks. I'm fucking losing it, and I can't think of the name. It's about a grandma and a girl, and the grandma's dying.
What you said was an Asian girl goes to visit her dying grandmother.
Yeah.
And I knew exactly what it was right away. Just a call out to everyone listening. If you have any way of contacting me and you are having one of those situations, please text me.
You were having a brain fart like I did.
It is like one of, I don't know, it's very sad, but it's one of my favorite pastimes to just be given vague information about a movie and try to guess it. So anyway, Farewell.
The Farewell. It's haunting my brain. I really wanted to watch it the last, obviously, 2 years now that since it came out. And finally I got to. I was like, I'm in the mood for some tears. Hopefully I can conjure up some of that wet water work in my eyeballs. And, it really lived up to that. Because, you follow this family and how they're basically doing their best not to tell the grandmother that she, is dying. And then, you progress through this story, this relationship with her and her family and her and Aquafina's character. And then it's like that. I was good until the last, one of the last scenes where grandma's waving goodbye as Aquafina's leaving in a taxi. And I was like,
that's where it gets you.
You're like, fuck. It was such a good movie, man. I'm glad I finally got around to it, even though, it's been 2 years, but, it's not like it was that bad, Yeah, fantastic movie. Everybody was great in it. And then I've ruined it by watching The Mood, by watching The Spirit after that, which was basically, if you know the movies like Sin City or whatever else was conjured up from that style of Frank Miller movies, this was pretty much, I think, directly after Sin City.
A couple years. It was Frank Miller banking off the success of his comic book being adapted into a film where he directed one scene and then directed, people thought the success of that would be enough to sell his name. I'm pretty sure it was a bomb. I'm not entirely sure. It was a bomb in our area.
Yeah, I don't think it did entirely well. As of the movie itself, it was, I like the style. I like the style of how those movies are. Yeah. But for the most part, the characters were god-awful, and the script was worse somehow. Because the women in the movies are very type. They're type, they're swooning over the men in the movie for the most part. Even if you try to argue, how independent they are, how independent the female characters are, they're still very sexualized. So there's that as well. For the most part, I like the style of it. I like the kind of story aspect of it. But for the most part, the script and the characters just aren't that great. And last but not least, before we watch the film that we have to watch, of course, we watched Mortal Kombat together, and we will talk about that a little bit when we get to yours.
Yeah.
So that's about it for me.
Cool. So I watched 6 movies altogether. 2 of them were rewatches. The first one that I watched is this year's Oscar-winning documentary, feature documentary called My Octopus Teacher. It is about this guy who is a documentary filmmaker, but was kind of going through this phase where he was just kind of done with film. And then he started snorkeling every day at his local beach. He lives in South Africa, I believe, somewhere along the western part, because he talks about the Atlantic Ocean, not the Pacific Ocean. So he goes snorkeling every day, and he finds this octopus that kind of just catches his eye. Yeah. And he just gets this idea of just I kind of want to study this octopus and see what happens and see if I can get him to get her to trust me. And it's just this beautiful friendship in a way that builds between them for a little over a year. I think it is. It might be less than a year. But wild animals don't have long lifespans. Yeah. Especially octopus. I think their lifespan, the specific breed or species of octopus that it was. The common octopus only lives like 1 to 2 years in the wild.
Oh wow! So he was with it for half its life, if not less.
Yeah, probably more of its life. Because it's a female octopus, and when female octopi lay eggs, they essentially give all of their life force to making sure those eggs are okay, and they don't eat. Essentially, they kill themselves for their young.
Yeah.
But it's just kind of following their entire relationship and how it kind of like saved him, got him to love filmmaking again. It's a beautiful film. It really is. Great sound design. If you can watch it in surround sound, definitely do. I was watching it in my upstairs TV, just trying to get my son to sleep. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to go downstairs because this looks like it has great sound design. And I was right.
Good choice.
Absolutely does, yeah. So yeah, My Octopus Teacher, highly recommend that. It is on Netflix. Then I watched Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs 1 and 2 back to back.
I saw that.
Because it's been a while since I've seen them. And I recently watched The Mitchells versus the Machines, which is by Lord and Miller, who did the first Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs and also wrote the second Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, at least the story. And, you know, they're just fun animated movies. Figured if I have a kid now, I should slowly throw those in there so I don't scar him. Yeah. So, yeah, those are fun movies. They're filled with puns, which is great. And then I watched the 1974 Murder on the Orient Express. Our YouTube channel has a video review where we watched it, or I watched it, and you fell asleep.
Absolutely.
Because it was during peak season when you're working at FedEx or UPS.
That damn ups, man.
Yeah, damn ups. We discussed that. This one is equally as good. My only problem with it is the exact problem I had with the newer one, is that the ending feels kind of like a cop-out and is kind of not that interesting.
Okay.
Not to get into that anymore, but it's the same exact thing. It's a great movie, well acted overall, but it's just the ending, and that is Agatha Christie's fault. That's not anyone else's fault. That's just how Agatha Christie wrote it.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a movie, but it could have been great had the ending been different.
Is it better or worse? Well, is it like on par with the other one?
I would say it's on par. It's probably a little more comical.
Okay.
But I personally like the Kenneth Branagh directed one more.
Yeah.
But that's just because I like the actors in it more, and it's less campy.
Understandable.
But there's a scene in this one, which is also kind of done in the Kenneth Branagh one, but it's extended in this one and kind of funnier in this one. That kind of makes up for it. So they both have their equality and their, you know, their what's the word? Their improvements, but yeah, it is what it is. Then we watch Mortal Kombat. We have a video on our YouTube channel for that little video review. We also fought beforehand.
Absolutely.
It was a very aggressive fight between us.
Blood everywhere.
And yeah. Well, the best man won. Let's just say that.
Well, I'm not arguing that.
But yeah, just check out our review for Mortal Kombat on YouTube. It's we tried to make those fun, so hopefully you'll enjoy it. And then I watched The Assassin, which we'll get into in just a second. That brings us to news. I believe you said you don't have any news.
Yeah,
right?
I don't really think. I mean, besides Regal obviously opening up.
Yeah, Regal's
some more
here.
Regals.
Yeah.
Opening up. There's not really too much news on at least my end that I saw.
Yeah.
But I heard you got a quick little snippet.
Oh yeah. So the biggest failure of Keystone Film Review is that we did not do a trailer reaction or review for Kate Winslet's Mayor of Easttown, which was filmed literally in our hometowns, Coatesville and Downingtown and Phoenixville.
Yeah.
I drove through the set one day. Like they were letting traffic through, they would stop it and then let it go. And I drove through the set one day. That's how close it is to us. I drove 2 blocks and accidentally ended up on the set.
I think I was at a BLM little protest when that was happening. So I pretty much passed it, but I didn't go through it like you did.
Yeah. Well, no, they filmed in the winter, so it was a couple months before the one you went to, at least.
We must have been talking about it then.
Yeah, you probably
at the thing.
Because I mean they filmed in Coatesville.
Yeah.
They filmed in Downingtown. They filmed in Phoenixville, Drexel Hill, just all around here. And so the biggest news to come out of that, it's the pride of Pennsylvania, is that or southeastern Pennsylvania at least. Kate Winslet loves Wawa.
Mm-hmm. As any normal human being should.
As any normal human being. So she talked about Wawa. She talked about how Evan Peters, who was also in Mayor of Easttown, many of you will know him as Quicksilver in the X-Men First Class series, and also in that quote-unquote disappointing reveal in WandaVision.
Yeah.
I don't think it's disappointing. I think it's hilarious.
I thought it was fun.
A lot of people hated it. But he apparently got like they were around here during Thanksgiving and Christmas and everything, and Evan Peters apparently ate so many gobblers.
Oh my God, they're so good.
So for those of you who don't know, a gobbler is essentially a turkey dinner on a hoagie roll, and he would just eat it every day. So Evan Peters, Kate Winslet love Wawa. I love that they love Wawa. Take that, Sheets.
Absolutely.
I honestly like. I love the feud between Wawa and Sheets. I don't have a problem with Sheets. I just like Wawa more, but I get why people like Sheets more. The feud is just fun. So,
absolutely.
Yeah, but Wawa for life, anything else, and go kick rocks.
Absolutely. We're kicking.
So
right
that
now.
is possibly the greatest, biggest news, most important news of all time. And that, I guess, we'll just get into the assassin then. Yeah, just that. Just like that. That segue.
Yes. You like that, huh?
Yes.
如今剑术已成，唯不能斩绝人伦之情。
阿瑶，昨日离异犯家。当初真不该让岛国公主带走阿瑶。
阿母将与绝，分赐了我与了妻。
罪无可还，为我刺其手，无实之举。
The Assassin. A female assassin receives a dangerous mission to kill a political leader in 8th century China. It is directed by, and I apologize ahead of time for butchering these names, Xiao Shang Hu, and it is written by Chang Ah, Tian Wenshu, Xiao Shang Hu, Mai Meng She, and Xing Pei. It is starring Kishu, Chen Chang, Yung Xiao, and Satoshi Sumabuki. Excuse me. Those names just brought up some gas.
I heard.
And so I picked this because I heard that it has beautiful cinematography, which it does, and that it is very good. And honestly, it is not what I expected at all from a name like The Assassin.
Yeah, no, I mean, I definitely thought it was definitely going to be a lot more action-packed than it was. I've never heard of this movie. Putting that on the board right off the bat.
I had only seen the poster and a few stills from it.
Yeah.
I had not even seen the trailer before we picked this, or I picked this.
Uh-huh.
So I knew barely a little bit more than you. Yeah.
And I mean, from the name alone, it's kind of, I mean, it is what it is, like, for sure. But it's kind of like not what you would expect from the title.
Yeah, it's a very slow moving. Throughout it's not even a slow burn. It's a slow moving. Slow burns usually indicate that there is a payoff at the end, and that's not to say that this doesn't have a payoff, but it's the same tone throughout, for better or worse. It's going to be one of those movies where you're either going to love it or you're going to be bored by it. I don't want to say bored by it, but like you're not going to be as impressed with it as it probably intends.
If you're going in with certain expectations of the movie, you're probably going to be disappointed.
Yeah.
Like I went in with nothing, to be honest.
Yeah.
Obviously, because I knew nothing about this movie besides the name of it, which was Assassin.
Yeah.
It lived up to that part.
The Assassin.
Yeah, The Assassin.
No, but yeah, it really starts off with a kind of French New Wave vibe where it's black and white, it's beautiful landscapes, there's not much going on, and then the assassin just kills someone.
She assassinates.
She does her job and kills someone, and it does a really good job of establishing her character right off the bat, kind of like this assassin that you don't expect to be an assassin. And she has a controller, or whatever you would want to call it, someone who her boss, her what's the word, like parental type figure,
the head of her assassins.
Yes, which is they refer to her as the nun. I don't even know if she has an actual name. That's kind of the thing with these foreign films. It's kind of sometimes hard to keep track of names.
Yeah.
But it's an extremely artistic film, which I was not expecting. I was expecting, a normal like showman assassin type film, and what we got is more of a. I'm trying to think of something to compare it to. Like every scene is like one or two shots. Beautiful shots and like long shots.
I was going to say that mostly long shots.
Yeah, the very silent throughout. The sound design is incredible. Just with with its immersion, because it really puts you in the scene. There's nothing there that seems artificial. It all feels very real. And it's just, I think my biggest problem with it is that it builds this tension through this silence, but then doesn't have much of a payoff.
Yeah.
And that's not to say that nothing exciting happens, because exciting things do happen, and the story is compelling, but it's just, it's missing an element that really pushes it over the edge for me.
Yeah, it's so for the most part, this girl's an assassin. She's basically told to go assassinate certain people. There's a person that she decides not to assassinate, and basically, she gets kind of punished for that. Not like slaps and punches like to the body or anything, but she's like, hey, you're going somewhere else, because clearly you still got a human mind, and we don't like that. We don't like human minds.
We don't like those human minds. No.
You've got an attachment, and we're going to get rid of that. So she gets sent somewhere else to get rid of that human mind.
And to do that, she has to assassinate her cousin.
Her cousin, yeah.
Which obviously creates some conflict here, and it kind of creates her backstory, or begins to the start of her backstory, with the nun kind of taking her in at a young age and raising her to be an assassin. But that's when it kind of, I don't want to say it slows down, because I really love that aspect of the story, the conflict of, do I want to stay in this assassin life and kill my cousin? Yeah, she
becomes this, and this is why it slows down for the most part, is because she's going to go kill this person, but then she's pretty much learning pretty much about kind of her family, and like this guy and his family, and she eventually starts becoming more of this guardian angel and like watching over these people, and that's why it kind of slows down and nothing's really happening. It's just kind of like a lot of silence, and then some talking, and then she's just like looming and protecting more than anything.
And it's not like with her becoming a guardian angel, it needs to slow down at that point. It like, in another style of film, it could have been like, the nun sends another assassin, and she has to fight that assassin to protect her cousin. But it really just kind of becomes a political drama at that point, which don't really have a problem with.
There's mostly a lot of talking about things that are happening between two different Dynasties.
Dynasty, yeah. I think it's pronounced Dynasty, but it could be Dynasty. I'm not sure.
Tomato, doesn't matter.
Potato, tomato.
Exactly.
But I feel like, kind of like with Much Ado About Nothing from last week, I feel like this is probably a lot more impactful for Chinese people.
Yeah.
Where, because it's based off of actual history.
Yeah, it's from a 19th century martial arts story.
Yeah.
So I'm sure, it's going off what it can from that, obviously.
Exactly.
And for the most part, I would assume, of course, I've never read the story, I would assume that it would do it justice. And just with the cinematography and everything, like it definitely does it justice on that part, for sure.
Yeah.
Because it was a beautiful movie. And, I liked looking at it real good.
Yeah, definitely.
But like you were saying, it is kind of like a slow burn, for sure.
Yeah. The aspect I probably liked most about it is because a lot of the scenes that she's not in, it's shot in a way that like maybe she's there and we're seeing from her perspective. So it's a lot of like long shots throughout the entire scene and just watching the characters interact. And I really like that fly on the wall aspect.
Yeah.
You really see the scenes that she is watching unfold, how it affects her, to the point where it kind of feels like a very, for lack of a better word, emo type assassin film, where it's just like, I could see this being set to emo music and being like a artsy type music video, where it's just these beautiful but also somewhat depressing landscapes with this lonely girl just standing in the middle of it with a tear rolling down her cheek, stuff like that.
It's not a phase.
It's not a phase. It's my life, Mom. But it's just if it weren't for the cinematography and the style and just everything visually and sound design of this film, I probably would not have been as invested as I was.
Yeah, it definitely wouldn't have the same feeling going for it, for sure.
Absolutely. There was one part that I laughed at a lot, which was the part where either her cousin or her cousin's guard is being attacked and she protects them as one of them is being buried alive. I forget exactly what this scenario is there, but that the shallow grave that they're burying him in reminds me of the grave that we dug for the Mormons Are Coming to bury Blake in.
Yeah.
And I was just like, that's one shallow grave, and it reminded me of that. Yeah, and it's just I don't. It just made me laugh, and I love and hate it when things like that pull me out of it. But yeah, it's a movie that I really want to love, but there's just not enough there for me to love.
And pretty much same for me. I mean, I really liked looking at it. It was cool to see like this guardian angel aspect instead of like, like some Crouching Tiger. And I'm not talking shit on Crouching Tiger. Like they did kind of slightly have those moments of like flying around.
Yeah, not as bad as Crouching Tiger, but definitely. Yeah, I agree.
I'm glad it kind of wasn't fully like that for sure, but it did need a little bit more something for sure to kind of get you through those lull moments. And a lot of people, and I don't think it was ever really advertised as this. I don't know what the trailer was like or anything, but a lot of people were complaining about the amount of action that are not in this for sure.
Honestly,
and giving it bad grades just for that alone.
Yeah, I believe that. It's kind of extreme example here, kind of like Drive, when a lot of people thought it was a Fast and Furious movie, but it was instead a masterpiece of a film about violence and men and everything and all that, and just how many people hated on Drive just because of what it wasn't like the Fast and the Furious, and Drive is by no means slow moving. Drive has a lot of action in it. It's just because people had to think they were upset. I feel like that's an extreme example because Drive is still an extremely entertaining movie, even if you are expecting just car chases the whole time. Whereas this, it's definitely more character based, and you have to listen to the dialogue and pay attention to it, and which I don't have a problem with. But I was, as I was watching, I was like, oh yeah, people are going to hate this for the sole reason that is not what the name suggests.
Yeah, the action sequences that were there were cool. Like right off the bat, this chick just fucking runs through a tree line and just slices this dude's neck.
Yeah, I mean, I do that every Tuesday though.
I mean, who doesn't? But I mean, like a lot of people were just like expecting like crazy over the top action, which it's kind of sad that they would just grade it like a 2 out of 5 just for that alone.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is what it is though. You know, people.
Yeah, it is.
People got expectations.
Yeah. I mean, I had expectations too, but I also can adjust them pretty well. Pretty much 15 minutes into this, I was like, oh, it's this kind of movie. And then adjusted my expectations. But yeah, I think we kind of wrapped it all up pretty nicely. I don't have too much more to say about this. It's pretty to look at. It's beautiful sound design. The end credit song is a great song. I just let the credits run because that song was great, and the acting in this was really good. Like there's technically this is a good movie. I just think it is a little too slow paced and could have either been shorter or had a little bit longer action sequences. Because when there is action sequences, they're very short lived.
Yeah.
So yeah, that brings us to the judgment. As always, it has to be a unanimous decision whether this becomes a little shelf boy with the likes of Apostle and Handmaiden. It was my pick, so I'm going to go first. What we just said kind of wraps everything up. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful film. Sound, picture, acting, all that. But I am not quite sure it has enough to warrant being a shelf boy. I don't feel like I'll ever watch it again. I don't think it provides enough to make me want to watch it again. So for that, I'm going to say it is not a shelf boy.
Yeah, I'm gonna also say the same. I mean, there's not really much else that I have there, but it can't be a shelf boy regardless. But I mean, everything else was there. It's just it was lull. It was like just a lull there, and it's just sad that there was, you know.
Yeah,
but I mean, it is what it is, you know. With
exactly.
With what the story was and everything like that.
Exactly. It is by no means a bad movie, but it's not one that I'm going to go around widely recommending to people. So, The Assassin does not make it on the shelf with the likes of Apostle and Handmaiden. Hopefully they don't come kill us for that. So that brings us to our plugs for this week. It is my turn to go first. I'm going to do a little dirty boy.
Oh.
I don't know why I called it that.
I don't know
but
either.
I'm going to break the rules a little bit, and I am going to plug 2 things. The first thing is from a sketch from SNL when Elon Musk, what's the word, hosted it two weekends ago. And that is because they're speaking of Mayor of Easttown and Wawa and Kate Winslet loving Wawa, which is, as we all know, going to save the world. That little fact. It's going to save the world. SNL poked fun at that show, but mostly the southeastern Delco accent in a sketch on their YouTube page and on that show that Elon Musk hosted called Murder Durder. And the main reason I am plugging this is because about halfway through, at about the scene starts at like a minute 25. They're looking at a map and they're talking about all the very specific town names that are real, proving that they did their research. And one of the actors on SNL says Downingtown, which is my hometown. I was raised there, lived there from when I was 3 until I was 27, not including going to college, because I don't really consider me, when I lived in Florida, living there, even though
Absolutely.
I did. So yeah, they say Downingtown, and it was like all the gossip, all the hot goss. So that is Murder Durder on the SNL page. And it's also just really fun. There's a lot of Philly references in there. They poke fun at a very silly accent and do it in a respectful, but also...
Like Water.
Yeah, Water, Durder. just a bunch of stupid stuff.
There's a lot of weird shit that we say over here.
They bring out
that
Grilly.
I don't personally say, but
they mention Gritty and the Fanatic, so there's that. It's just a really fun sketch. Honestly, a lot of people from Philly are gonna like love and hate it just because it gets us so hard.
Yeah.
But not even us. We don't even speak like that.
I was
But you
gonna
know
say,
what
I
I'm
don't
saying.
speak like that in the slightest.
Yeah, we don't. We're a little too far west to speak like that.
I think the craziest thing I say here is John sometimes.
John. I say John, and I apparently pronounce mountain in a very specific way.
I don't know why you
But
would say mountain weird, but
Yeah, we don't say mountain weird. You say mountain weird.
Mountain weird.
Sometimes I say warsh and wooder just for fun, but
my roommate does that a lot, and it blows my mind.
yeah. But anyway, Murder Dirter on SNL. I did not mean for it to be this long. The only reason is because they say Downingtown, and it brings me pride and joy that Downingtown is mentioned on SNL.
Highly accurate, says the Dilco Daily. The writers clearly Googled. They knew the foods and the towns.
Third on this starter matches the steam down in Downingtown.
Down Royersford past Hockessin.
That's Conshohocken?
No, past Hockessin, over by the Jagoff Bridge.
Great. And you guys can spell that for me
A little
later?
town of only 10,000 people. But then my real plug is going to be, I don't know if you're into this, Glenn. I like myself a little Dungeons and Dragons.
That's not where I thought that was heading. A dungeon part, sure.
Dungeons and Dragons is really fun. I just started playing it maybe like 2-3 years ago. I'm really new at it, but it's still fun to play with my friends. There is a YouTube channel called Dimension 20, which is hosted by someone from College Humor and involves a lot of College Humor folk. And they just play Dungeons and Dragons with really elaborate set pieces, and it's really cool to watch. So that is my main plug, even though I'm talking about it way less than Murder Dirter.
Yeah.
And Dimension 20 on YouTube. Check it out. It's a really fun D&D channel.
Stop spreading the news. I'm leaving today.
I've been taking so many drugs for so long.
We need to do this for the good of the rats.
I can't buy a bigger house because then it'll be obvious I'm in the mob.
The show must go on!
You come from my family. You come from my friends. I will drop you.
And we're all just gonna have a fun time getting out of here.
And all has been dead. We were already outside of this. You want to go outside?
I love it when people do this.
I don't know what else is going on, but I can fight.
Finally, the great day of alliance!
Our lives suck anyway.
What is about to come back?
Yeah!
It's been good knowing you.
Willie, get your brick butt in here. You jumped into the air.
Another box of doom roll.
Finally, it happened!
19.
What the?
I've got to keep doing this.
First attack is a nat 20!
That is a nat 20.
All right. Yeah, I've never gotten into D&D, mainly because I also have never tried it.
It's fun. I think
it's more
you'd
my
like
own
it.
fault than anything, but you know.
It's essentially just like a video game. This is the dumbest, but also the only way to say it. It's a video game with your mind.
Yeah.
So
Create your own stories and stuff like
exactly.
that. Mine's going to be a little bit more selfish than yours was. So we just released 3 different videos on our Keystone Film Review YouTube. And by we, I mean Mike went hard this weekend.
I went
them.
hard.
He went herder-dirtered on it.
Murder-dirtered.
So we got Mortal Kombat review. We were talking about that a little bit. If you want to obviously hear what we thought about, or mostly me, thought about Mortal Kombat, that is up. That is live. We got the Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings trailer reaction. That is up. And then, of course, we got The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It, or did he? That is also up on, as a trailer reaction. It's up on our little shapoopoo.
Yeah.
All up on the KFR YouTube.
And in the Conjuring one, I have some beef to squash.
Absolutely.
With Halloween Karen.
He squashes some
stupid
burf.
bitch. That skank of a mom whore. Happy Mother's Day, by the way.
Happy Mother's Day, by the way.
No, it's a really short story. I used to really like Halloween, and then when I was 12, this woman would not give me candy because she thought I was like 18 because I was 6 feet tall by the time I was 12. And even though I was in full costume.
Truly disgusting act of a human being.
Yes, it ruined Halloween for me. I have never looked at Halloween the same. And I know that's not that big of a deal, but like if someone's going to be that much of a Karen about Halloween, what's the fucking point?
Yep.
So yeah.
Absolutely. So yeah, that's
that
my
bitch.
plug. Little selfishness there. But that's it, right?
All right, yeah, those are our plugs. Let's what's our assignment, Glenn? It's your turn to pick.
Yeah. All right. So here we little go, guys. Okay. So I have a movie that's going to be on multiple platforms here.
Ooh.
We got Sling TV, we got Amazon Prime Video, we got Philo, and we have Hulu. So this movie is on all those platforms for free. Well, technically not free if you have those platforms.
Have ads,
but this one's going to be called Monsters Ball.
I've been coming here for damn near 11 years, and I'm tired. Only reason I'm here so you can say goodbye to your son.
Lionsgate Home Entertainment proudly presents Academy Award winner Billy Bob Thornton.
Do you know what you did? You should have done that.
Academy Award winner Halle Berry.
Hank!
Who are you?
My name is Letitia Musgrove. Me and Hank is friends.
Peter Boyle.
It's a time when they knew their place. Where you going?
I met your daddy.
Heath Ledger.
You hate me. Yeah, I hate you. I always did.
And Sean Combs.
I've always believed that a portrait captures a person far better than a photograph. It truly takes a human being to really see a human being.
In one of the most acclaimed films of the year.
Push the button.
Monsters Ball.
I think we're gonna be all right.
Look for it on video and DVD.
Oh boy.
This is a movie that I've never seen before. I hear a lot of things. I hear there's a kind of a little scene in between Billy Bob Thornton and Halle Berry, of course. But let's get into it. We got Monsters Ball. After a family tragedy, a racist prison guard re-examines his attitudes while falling in love with an African-American wife of the last prisoner he executed. Holy shit, I didn't know it was about all that. I just... Wow.
We're in for a heavy movie.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I know this has kind of been on my radar for a while, and I saw that you didn't see it yet, so I'm like, we could both knock it out together. So it's got Billy Bob Thornton, Taylor Simpson, Heath Ledger, Halle Berry, obviously, Mos Def. I saw Sean P. Diddy Combs was in there too, I believe.
Peter Boyle's also in there.
Peter
Yasin
Boyle.
Bey, a.k.a. Mos Def. Yeah, he's in that.
So we got a lot of talent in there, so I'm kind of excited for it, for sure.
Yeah, Halle Berry won the Oscar for that. I don't know if you already said that, but she won the Oscar for Best Supporting Actress in that. Yeah, I'm interested in watching this. It seems very heavy. I was not expecting.
Yeah, I was not expecting that synopsis at all. I really didn't hear about this movie at all. I was just like, I heard things, you know.
Yeah. So that is Monsters Ball. That is available on Hulu, Amazon Prime, Sling, and Philo.
Yeah.
Is that all of them?
Philo, whatever it's called. I
Philo,
believe
Philo,
I think there were 4 of them.
Yeah. But yeah, you can check that on those streaming services. Watch that and then prepare for next week's episode. Thank you, everybody, for listening. As always, you can check out our website, www.keystonefilmreview.com. On Instagram, we're Keystone_film_review. Twitter, Keystone_film. I've been trying to post on there more lately, so hopefully we'll be more active with that. Facebook, Keystone Film Review. YouTube, Keystone Film Review, where you can check out Glenn's selfish little plug.
Absolutely.
And as always, I am Mike KFR on Letterboxd.
And I am Glenn KFR.
On Letterboxd. And that will do it until next week when we watch a, honestly, seems very depressing movie.
Yeah, we shall see.
I am excited and not excited for it. So, yeah. Bye-bye.
Bye.